This guy walked into the woods and hid from society for 27 years. In all that time, he said one word to one other person. He accidentally ran across somebody who was hiking one day. She said hi, he said hi back, and that is the only discussion he had with anybody for 27 years. His name is Christopher Knight. In 1986, he quit his job, got into a Subaru Brat, drove it down a dirt road in Maine until he ran out of gas, and then grabbed a small backpack that he had with him, put it on, and headed back into the woods. For years, he just wandered around the Maine wilderness until he was completely lost. His only guiding principle was that if he saw any sign of humans, he would go the other way. Way up in the mountain, there was this field of boulders that had been left there by glaciers, and he realized that he could hide there and nobody would ever find them. So he set up a permanent camp. It was the perfect location because he could go down to North Pond where there was a bunch of summer cabins, and he could break in and steal the stuff that he needed. And so he would wait until it was a moonless night, and then he would go down to the lake shore and steal a canoe. And then he would canoe along the lake shore until he found a new house, and he would go and break in. The stuff he stole was never anything valuable. It was just food and maybe some camping gear, some propane, and some books. Then he would canoe back to the original place, leave the canoe where he had stole it, and cover it up with some pine needles so people wouldn't think that it had been taken. He would do this all summer and all fall, just like a bear getting ready to hibernate. Because when winter happened, he would go into his tent and he would stay there all winter long because he didn't want people to trace his footsteps back. And he would never light a fire because they might see the smoke. He would stay warm in the freezing temperatures by getting up in the middle of the night and just walking around, or using a little propane stove for heat. And he would just read and think for months until it was time to come out of hibernation again. It took the people of North Pond quite a while to figure out that they were being robbed. I mean, nothing important was going missing, just little things. Some people even thought that it wasn't a human that was taking the things. It must be the Maine Sasquatch. One guy, a game warden, this guy, his name's T. Hughes, he figured that somebody was stealing that stuff. And he bought security cameras and he set them up at a local campsite. And then he waited for a long time until one night he saw somebody come into the camp and break in. That's a picture from the security cam. He rushed in and arrested the guy. Turns out that he felt really bad about breaking into people's houses and taking their stuff. He was just trying to survive. When people in the community heard that he just wanted to be left alone, they felt sympathetic to him, and so did the judge. So when he pled guilty to 13 burglaries, the judge said, "How long have you been in jail?" And he said, 6 months. And he says, "I convict you and sentence you to 6 months and 1 week." He spent 1 more week in jail, and then he walked out and he went into his mom's house where he was required to be on probation, and he disappeared again. He just wants to be left alone. And I think there are days we can all relate.